You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. For more than a decade, Art Song Lab has provided composers, singers, and writers the opportunity to experiment and explore. After 10 summers in Vancouver, the program has arrived on the prairies, setting up shop today, June 24th through the 29th in Winnipeg. To hear more, I'm joined by co-founders Michael Park and Alison D'Amato. Welcome to Winnipeg's Classic 107. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks so much.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here, and welcome back home, Michael. You grew up here. You graduated from the Des Hôtels Faculty of Music, not then the Des Hôtels Faculty of Music. How's it feel to be back in Winnipeg?
It feels really nostalgic. I was overwhelmed by the flatness, which I miss. You can see downtown from everywhere. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I want to chat more, just briefly about how you got to where you are now. You're based in Vancouver. Your music's been performed across the province and indeed across the continent, notable premieres in Boston and New York. Can we talk more about growing up briefly in Winnipeg? How do you feel like it's shaped you as a composer, as a pianist, as a musician?
Absolutely. I wish I had appreciated it more while I was here, like opportunities to sing in the New Music Festival and all this great choral tradition. It informed a lot of my passion for vocal and choral music. I studied at Western, did my master's there, and eventually moved out to UBC or moved to Vancouver, and I've stayed there. Yeah, growing up in Winnipeg was great. I definitely felt the need to spread my wings. But yeah, it's great to finally be back, sort of in a professional context.
And you get to return to the Faculty of Music at the U of M, where you guys are sort of posting up over the next little while. And I want to chat more about the Art Song Lab, which you co-founded alongside Alison. Can you tell us the origin story of the Art Song Lab, Alison? What got this started?
Yeah, absolutely. Many years ago in Vancouver, there was a Vancouver International Song Institute, which was known as VISI. And that ran through about 2017. And that was really an institute for all things related to song. It was all about engaging in collaborations between singers and pianists and various mentors. And we didn't really, we were dealing with all this wonderful literature from the past, but there was not a lot of engagement with current composers. Here and there might be. And so Michael and this wonderful poet, writer, and all-around Renaissance man, Ray Sue, got together, and they approached the artistic director and said, hey, we'd like to have some real engagement with current new works. And that started to take off. We had a one-day workshop at the Canadian Music Centre in 2010. And actually, the current dean and professor at the Faculty of Music here, Laura Lowen, was a part of that workshop. And it was the first time that composers and writers and performers had all just started talking about just what song is and the amazing interdisciplinary alchemy that happens. And so from them, we just said, yeah, we need to do a program. And so it was part of VISI for several years, and then we branched off into this independent program.
So you currently instruct at the Eastman School of Music. Is that where you two connected? Was it at VISI? Was it through Vancouver
originally? Yes, it was
for you?
absolutely Vancouver. We didn't know each other before. Michael just decided to beat on the doors and see if we could get some good work going.
It literally was that. Ray and I were pretty much looking for an opportunity for ourselves and brought other people along, but initially, the artistic director said no when we came along and said, we have a song. We want you to get a bunch of people to perform. But I introduced her to the then director of the Canadian Music Centre, Bob Baker, in BC. And they both connected to make this initial workshop. And yeah, just that feeling of, for the first time, being in the same room with the creators of both the words and the music, right? As well as the performers and the audience coming in to create this kind of four-sided triangle of collaboration where, interpretation is all these things put together.
You mentioned that rich tradition of art song, the idea of a piece of text sung, typically accompanied by a piano, but not necessarily just a piano. And there's this rich history that goes back, centuries and centuries. Sure. And that importance of generating new art song and growing that canon. But one word that you used, Alison, that I think is so interesting is you talked about it being this sort of interdisciplinary alchemy that happens. And when I think of a lab, I mean, maybe comically, but I think of, white coats and things bubbling and all sorts of things coming together and experiments and data sheets and charts. Is there that same sort sort of experimentation that happens in a musical lab?
That's exactly what it feels like, and it's going to feel that way later today, because it's for us, many times it's the first time that everybody's been in the room. I mean, the Art Song Lab process in a nutshell is that the composers and poets that apply to be part of it, they get paired, they don't know each other beforehand, and so they collaborate over several months on, the poet brings in a new text specifically for this collaboration usually, and it comes out of conversations with that team about what are they concerned with, what do they want to write a piece about and make a new piece about. And then when we all gather in the town that Art Song Lab happens, it's the first time that the performers are there, and everybody brings their own immediate relationship with the words, with the music, and then when it's brought into the room as a live sound, then it's different every time. Also, you have unique performances. You run through, you say, maybe this tempo is different. Hey, how about we try this sound effect here? So there's all sorts of workshops up until the very final performance.
Yeah, and to me, what's so fascinating here is that it's all happening in the same room. This can't happen. We can't go and turn to Heine and then ask Schubert what his thoughts were with the singer that's performing. That idea of having everybody at the table, I mean, that's just got to be so vital to what you're doing, right, Michael?
Absolutely. And I mean, if you see our material, Art Song Lab we have parentheses and like a lowercase a. It's all about what, this idea of high art and low art, and that idea that a composition, an art song is based on a poem. We've had people who do found poetry where it's very visual. We've had people who do spoken word art. And it really is about bringing together words and music to create a new song. We honor that huge tradition of art song, of course, but we're also helping redefine what is vocal music in a world where we can actually collaborate.
So, as you were just mentioning, participants in the program are paired together, and this happened earlier this year in 2024. They finally get to come together here in Winnipeg. Tell us a little bit about how things are structured for the participants over the next 6 days or so.
Absolutely. We have rehearsals every day, and that's a key part is, substantial rehearsal time, which as a classical musician, is sometimes you're just like getting in there at the last minute, but we really do devote a lot of time to that. In the afternoon, we have workshops. We have a special guest artist. Dee Brandt is our wonderful local poet who is going to be leading a workshop, and Andrew Balfour. So we have 2 great workshops in the afternoons. Those are also open to the public with limited seating. We also have in the evenings these really cool things called Song Sparks, which are performances, and it's that 4-sided triangle. We have the performers, the creators of the words and the music, as well as the audience gets to ask questions and really share in that exploration of the songs.
So there's an audience interaction component then too, eh?
Yeah.
What do you think that opens up in terms of this lab that you've created?
Well, it's all part of that. I don't think there's direct communication when this is a little not quite common, but we think, I'm singing a song and you hear it and it speaks directly to the soul. I don't think that exists. I think the composer has to do their work to communicate to the performers through the score, and then the performers bring that alive, and what they put into it, they hope people will get. But the audience really has their own role. I think of like when you're reading a book, you're reading it in your own head. And if you have a boring speaking voice, then it might not be the most exciting book. And I think that's a big part of the performance element as well.
It's a big part of it for the performers also to remember how directly words sung and played, but the singers ultimately have the words generally, how directly they hit an audience member, any other human. And one of the other things I think that goes into the parentheses around the art word is that, again, I love that rich tradition, for centuries, but of people that we can no longer talk to personally. But for people to have a brand new work that speaks to contemporary concerns. We have a song that takes a poem that deals directly with the proliferation of fires, right, which of course is of great concern. And so to have it sung at you and then process that. Also, for a new work, especially in sometimes, people's musical language, it's, not always tonal. It's, complicated rhythms. To hear it more than once, to be able to engage with it and say, well, wait a minute, so this struck me here. What went into that? And how often do we get to have those conversations? We appear on a stage, we hope they like it, they clap, and we leave, but we don't get to really share what we love and are committed to about this work.
Yeah, maybe they read the program note.
Right, right.
And then you're sort of hoping that gives all the information that you need. But that idea of having a conversation, that experimentation just sounds so fascinating and I mean, really a vital part of what you're doing. So let me ask you this, just before we kind of wrap things up. How many participants are in this year's program? And is it equal parts singer, like pianist, writer, composer? Like how is it all divvied up?
We have 9 composers, 6 poets, and 4 singers that are involved, as well as our 3 singer and 3 pianist faculty members. And it's divvied up about as randomly as those numbers are. 2 of our poets have written different texts for a couple collaborations, and the 4 singers are sharing those 9 songs. So
it all culminates on Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. in Song Launch, the opportunity to hear all of these new works, right? Tell us about the Saturday concert.
The Saturday concert is literally, it's the world premiere by our faculty of all 9 new songs. And we also have performances by the participants. A big part of, we're not sure what those pieces are going to be quite yet.
Yeah. This is the first year that we've had some singer participants as well who want to sort of engage with live creativity like this. And they're learning versions of the new songs as well as bringing other contemporary songs that they'd like to coach with the faculty. And so that Saturday will be a mix of faculty and the singer participants performances, definitely all the world premieres, maybe sometimes a second version of one of those songs or something else from the literature that exists.
And are all the participants from here in Winnipeg, or have they come from across Canada or continent?
Yeah, we have a soprano from Chicago. We have
somewhere down in the States. I want to say Texas.
Yeah.
A couple locals.
Yeah.
That's right. And a student from Eastman, and I don't actually know where her home is, if it's Rochester, New York or not. But so from North America in general.
Well, very, very exciting indeed. Go ahead, Michael.
It's especially meaningful, me coming back to Winnipeg, but also I've been dreaming of growing the program for a number of years. And so having the opportunity, big thank you to University of Manitoba Des Hotels Faculty of Music for giving us a space, and of course the SOCAN Foundation for supporting new music and Canadian content especially.
So if people are looking to get involved or follow along, where can they go to learn more about Art Song Lab?
Facebook and Instagram at Art Song Lab is where to go. Also, all the information is on our website. That's www.artsonglab.com.
Well, very exciting indeed. We'll all be sure to share things on the classic107.com website as well. We're going to end with a little bit of music. Can you tell us about what we're about to hear?
Yeah, this is a piece from Art Song Lab 2018. Is that right?
Yeah, 2018.
Yes. And it's the text is by poet Corey Philly.
And the composer
is Kat Gimon.
Yes. Kat Gimmon, I think.
Gimmon, I'm so sorry. Kat, wherever you are. And it was performed by tenor Will George and pianist Marguerite Whitvet.
Very exciting indeed. What's it titled?
This Is That.
Well, this is that. Michael, Alison, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks
Enjoy Art Song Lab.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.